TransByDef. This is Christine. Um, I'm talking to you today about gender dysphoria and depression. It's a topic that's been covered on this channel before, but not directly, not in this way. And it's coming to you this week because of problems that I had that spawned me to bring it up. But it wasn't just me. Everyone, pretty much, I think everyone on the channel, every one of the hosts has been dealing with gender dysphoria and depression in just the last couple weeks. For me, it was an incident where I couldn't find my razor. I shave my face twice a day, most days. And I do that because I freak out about people seeing facial hair on me. And even with my shaving, if they look close enough, they still can. And I couldn't find my razor in the morning. And so I had an absolutely horrible day. Where all I wanted to do was go home and crawl into bed and cry. All because of a stupid razor. All because I couldn't shave my face. It didn't help that that was the day that somebody came up to me and told me that somebody was peeing in the bathroom, standing up in the ladies' room, and they thought maybe it was me. I don't pee standing up. I haven't peed standing up for ages. When I would go to the men's restroom, I would always sit down. So hearing that, it upset me. And it wasn't the person who brought it to me that upset me, but the fact that there's this rumor going around and I'm the person that they think of. Must be me. And I don't even know who it could be. I really have no clue. Anyway, that day was just horrible. There was also some family problems between my spouse and myself as we were working on our divorce and trying to get through the challenges that lie ahead of us there. And really both of us making our peace with the situation as it is. It's just a bad day. And so it brought up all these feelings. And these are feelings that, like I said, every one of us has been dealing with in some way or another. And it's an ongoing thing. You'd think at the point that we transition that gender dysphoria wouldn't be such a big deal. But it still is there, just under the surface. It does make things a lot better. A lot better. Because, and I think Harley mentioned this in her video yesterday, at the point that you've transitioned, you're able to be yourself. You're able to... It doesn't matter if you do things that are a little guy-like or a little bit girl-like. It just doesn't matter because people figure you're a fruitcake anyway. And you don't have to worry about what people are going to think. Because their opinion can't possibly go any lower of you. That's basically the truth. And at the point that you've freed yourself from that, there is a tremendous relief off of your shoulders. So it is good to transition if you need to. And you need to when you're struggling with gender dysphoria and you're starting to think about things like killing yourself. That level of depression where you're starting to think about killing yourself, when you feel like you're a failure, when you feel like you could never be what people need you to be or want you to be or expect you to be, when you get to that point, then yeah, you need to transition and you need to come to grips with who you are. That may not sound nice. We probably don't really want it that way. We don't want to hurt the people around us. We don't want to disappoint our friends, our family, our children. We are hard programmed to be the best people that we can. I mean, that's what we try to do. But we can't. We can't be the person they want us to be because we can only be the person that we are. I remember before I transitioned, when I was a kid, I remember crying myself to sleep night after night after night, begging God to fix me. And God never did. God did give me dreams. In my dreams, I was a girl. I vividly recall being called Christine in my dreams. Maybe in real life, I don't know. But I vividly remember crying myself to sleep, and I didn't tell a soul. My parents never knew. It's not their fault. My sister didn't know. Nobody knew what I was dealing with or how I was dealing with it or why I did the things I did. And I didn't do anything horrible. I didn't get into drugs. I got into computers. And I buried myself in computers. It's a different world, a place that you could hide. And so I think there's a lot of trans people that are into computers because they hid in the computer. And they could be themselves there. You could be somebody else besides you. And I did that. I did that for a long time. I did things where I thought if I got married, it would fix the feelings that I was having that weren't matching up with the way that they were supposed to be. I thought if I had kids, they would fix the feelings that I'm having, but they didn't. It continued. Every time, every step. Even when I went to counseling, even when I went to Christian counseling, because God was still going to fix me. It never fully went away. I was able to suppress it. I was able to hide from it. I was able to distract myself. But I wasn't able to make it go away. And that's not how we're supposed to live. That is not a healthy way to live. Gender dysphoria affects you deeply if you have it. It affects us all differently. But I don't think there's an aspect of my life that it didn't dig into at some point. I don't think there was a time that I was ever free of it. And along with that gender dysphoria comes depression. And when the depression threatens to overtake you, you transition. And when you transition, you have a whole slew of other problems. Some of those problems are devastating. Losing my spouse was hard. Disappointing my father to the point where I don't think he even wants to really know me. The potential loss of my children in court, in custody hearing. Those were all devastating. You know, I have friends, a lot of friends, that are friends with my wife now and can't talk to me. They think what I did was awful. And all I did was tell the truth. It's not awful to tell the truth, but there's an expectation in society that the way that we are matches our body. And when we disappoint society, they retaliate. But once you're free of that, once you get out of society's locks and bounds, and you're free to be yourself, you can be yourself. You don't have to make people happy. That's not being selfish. Some people think it's selfish for you to be yourself, but how can that possibly be selfish? Who doesn't get to be themselves? Who has to hide who they are for everyone else in the world? That's an unrealistic and an unfair demand of society. And society tells us this is how we're supposed to be. This is what we have to do to be accepted. I rejected society, and for that I paid a price of friends, of family. I didn't lose my job, at least not yet. A lot of people do, because their bosses can't handle the fact that they told the truth about who they are. It is a threat to the very fabric of society, and society is 100% wrong. But being right doesn't always feel good. So even after we get through the gender dysphoria, even after we rectify ourselves to who we really are, our inner self and our outer self, and our appearance starts to match, and we're taking steps where we're free to be ourselves, even after that we still pay a price. And then we still have suicidal thoughts and depression, and we still struggle. And even after we line up, if something goes wrong, if somebody clocks us and tells us, we're not who we're pretending to be, they say we're pretending. Yeah, that hurts. And it can cause you to have a bad day, a really bad day. They don't think about it, and they don't care. They think they're right, and they're not. And as trans people, we need to stand with our brothers and our sisters in this community, unified. We need to love them because they're going through it too. And the only way to get through this life, this hard life that we all have to live, and it's a hard life, whether or not you're trans, your life is hard. There are things that don't go right. Not the way that you expect. Even if everything is perfect in your life, you have a body and you're cisgendered and you are heterosexual and you're a male and you have male privilege and everything else, life still goes against you at times, and it's always hard. But for trans people, it's harder, much harder. No matter at what point you transition in your life, it is much harder than if everything is lined up. And so, the message today, the message that I have today, is you need to learn to love yourself. You need to learn that you are important. You need to learn that people care about you, even when it seems like nobody does, even when it seems like the entire world will never get better. We're coming off of an election with a president who for the first time has upheld equality, and he won re-election. Where for the first time, 3 states voted for marriage equality. 1 state voted not to put into their constitution discrimination. That's the first time in history that we've seen those changes. It's a different world. It's changing. It's going to get better. So this is my It Gets Better for you. Love you guys. Talk to you next week.